I know some of our candidates have other commitments and will have to be leaving us early, so we're going to try to get through as much as we can before they have to leave. We want to welcome you to Sunny Hills. Sunny Hills Neighborhood Association is a community group that was founded here. I understand Carmen was one of the founders of what was called the Neighborhood Improvement Association many years ago. And the focus, the purpose of the group is to help to facilitate good things for Sunny Hills and for the city of Milpitas. We host a breakfast nearly every month on the first Saturday of the month. And during election season, we like to have a candidates forum. We invite you back to our next breakfast, which will be the first Saturday of November. We're going to have a presentation by the Historical Society and the Museum Society to tell us about what's new with history in Milpitas. I know they have some big plans to build a museum, and I thought it was good timing to hear from them. I'd like to welcome all of the candidates here this morning. I appreciate their coming out on a Saturday morning. I know they're very busy, knocking on doors and meeting groups. So I appreciate their coming out this morning. Tri-City Voice is a local paper, and you can pick up copies of their paper at places like the Senior Center here in town. And he is going to use this podium to pose questions. So Rob back here is going to give you 30-second, 15-second warnings, and then a stop sign means you're cut off. Make sure it's on. Yes, it's on. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Yin Lee. I'm a sports agent, and also I used to work for the professional basketball team as a scout for 4 years. And also I used to work for Samsung, and like about a couple of months ago, I got an offer from Tesla, but I had turned down because I want to run for the mayor because we have so many issues in this city. That's why I want to serve as a mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. I am Rob. So my name is Bob Nunez. I'm currently on the city council. Prior to that, I was on the school board for Milpitas. As you know, I'm a member really of all three service clubs, Kiwanis, Rotary, and Lions. I'm a member of many of these social justice organizations within the city and the county. And really what I'm really trying to do is make sure that Milpitas stays going and becoming really the best city within this county. We do many things here well. I think one of them is partnering with the school district. Another is making sure that we're doing extremely well looking at housing, and now beginning to look at transportation within the city. The important part for me is making sure we're going in the right direction. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Voltaire Montimer. I'm all over the world. I've studied and worked abroad and in the US. I've been leaders from Cub Scout up to now. I'm trying to knock the door for this position. I am very determined. I'll be sincere. I've worked for, the last one is the electronics companies like Hewlett-Packard, Toyota in the Philippines, Bureau of Mines and Geosciences. I've been leading the field of engineers, geologists, and by the way, I'm a member of this association, Sunny Hills Neighborhood. Now I'm one of the parks volunteers, or now I'm seated as a I'm now seated as a commissioner on parks, and I have more. My time is up. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Uncle. Hey, good morning, Sunny Hills. How you doing here? Whole Milpitas in the Sunny Hills United Methodist this morning. I'm so happy to be here. I want to thank the Allison McDonald for organizing this, and Mr. Haas and Pastor. Thank you for opening up your church to us. And Milpitas Beat for being here this morning. I remember coming here when I was in Troop 92. We used to meet in that parking lot over there and line up in formation, so great to be back. I'm wearing a different uniform now with the National Guard, and I know Sunny Hills has a breakfast every month, and it falls square on my drill weekends, but this month, for some reason, God said, hey, we're going to move your drill a week forward, and so that's why I'm able to be here this morning, so thankful. I love Sunny Hills so much. I grew up down in Arizona. I used to ride my bike up here, hang out with my friends. I still got tons of family over here. The Prestanos and the Naylors and the Dixons and the Islands, and my Uncle Noni lives over here at Sunny Hills Apartment still, and he's disabled, and so this is his home, and I'm just so happy to be here. Thank you very much.
Hey guys, I'm Tim Alcorn, and I've lived in Milpitas for quite a while, pretty much my whole life. And I actually have a lot of friends who live in Sunny Hills, a lot of my friends from high school. And so, when they reached out to me saying that, hey, we're hosting this forum with the Sunny Hills Neighborhood Association, I replied as quickly as I could, and I'm like, I will be there. But I went to Rose School, I went to Rancho Middle School, I went to Milpitas High School, and living here my whole life, I see a lot of the things that Milpitas thrives in, but I also see a lot of the things where Milpitas needs some help. And right now we're in a turning point. We have a lot of new housing that's being completed right now. We have a lot of big population boom, big traffic boom. We're at a huge turning point, and I want to make sure that Milpitas goes in the right direction, and I want to be a part of that. I want to help my hometown go in the right direction and make sure that residents are put first. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Carmen Motown, running for Milpitas City Council. I feel right at home here. I grew up in this neighborhood. I've been here since 1964. I went to the public schools here, went to Samuel Air High School and Milpitas High School, graduated from Milpitas High School. How I got involved in, I was one of the co-founders of Sunny Hills Improvement Association. When I was taking my children to the Sunny Hills Child Care Center, I noticed that a lot of our streets were not being taken care of. I noticed that the neighborhood was looking run down. And this was during the Great Stagflation, which is a stagnated economy and high inflation back in the 1990s. And so my good friend Bob Pickle and I formed the Sunny Hills Improvement Association, and we were able to do good things in our neighborhood, improve it. And that's when I learned about zoning, I learned about ordinances, and that's how I got involved in our city government. And I learned that city government can be used for good to improve neighborhoods and the whole city as a whole. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Robert Marini. I've been a resident of Milpitas for like 30 years. I have an engineering background, so I know the technical issues. I work for this city without pay by attending city council meetings for over 8 years, so I'm pretty familiar with all the issues associated with the city. I wrote with a bunch of friends of mine an initiative to reduce your water rates, and it was killed by Market Billy. And I've done PowerPoint presentations, and I've done spreadsheets. I think what the city needs is more a person with an engineering background to help understand the issues associated with our city. So I appreciate you considering me for a position the City Council in Milpitas. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Gaeta Dominguez, and I am a proud resident of Milpitas. I've been here for over 18 years. I moved to Milpitas and landed here in order to raise my daughter. I know I look really young, but I am very proud of my daughter who just started the University of San Diego, and now I have the time to dedicate myself to what I love, which is public service. I have an experience in public administration as well as public policy, being a public policy analyst for Assemblymember Canton Chu and Senator Bob Bukowski. And I feel right at home because at the age of 10 I started organizing. I started my time in public service with PAC, and I grew up in PAC, and I grew up helping community members do neighborhood associations. So in my lifetime, I'm proud to say that I have helped organize over 30 neighborhood associations in our region. And today I'm asking you for your support because I'm one of you. I am one of you. I definitely believe together we can move Milpitas forward, and I hope that I'm able to gather 1 or 2 votes. Thank you.
Good morning, resident and neighbor. My name is Van Lan Trung, and I have lived in this neighborhood for the past 8 years. I moved here from Boston, Massachusetts, where I served as the immediate liaison to the Mayor Office of Neighborhood Services to the City of Boston. When I moved here, I also have the opportunity to work with Supervisor Cindy Chavez for the past 5 years. I'm also a member of the Community Advisory Commission for the past 5 or 6 years in our city, and I'm also a member of the General Plan Advisory Committee. So I believe that in order to make an impactful result that affect everybody's life, I have to involve in local political process. That's why I'm here. I'm here to work with you on affordable housing, on transportation, on quality education, and many other issues that concern us. So I would really appreciate your support in my running for City Council in 2018. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Suraj Vishwanathan. I came here in 2004. I have 2 beautiful kids and a family. My background is engineering. When I came here in 2004, I came with a $100 bill. The city provided me with whatever I am today. Around 2008, after opening a couple of businesses, I thought I should, it didn't give me that much happiness. So I wanted to give back to the community, and when I started doing things like working with parents, helping parents, which works with autistic kids in San Jose, I started feeling very happy, and start from that day, I never looked back. From 2008, started doing more community service. I'm the president of Bay Area Cricket Alliance since 2010. I'm also elected as the national director for USA Cricket Board, and I'm also a published author. And my priorities for Milpitas include traffic congestion, infrastructure to address traffic congestion, public safety, and affordable housing. And I look forward to addressing your questions. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Marcia Grilly. I'm presently serving as your vice mayor, and I'm very proud to represent you. In 1978, my husband and I chose Milpitas as the home that we wanted to raise our children in. We moved here with 1 daughter, and we, over the years, raised 5 successful children, and now the proud grandmother of 11 grandchildren. It grows. When we moved here, we were welcomed and embraced by this community. And I want that for the families that made Milpitas their homes, whether it's been for many years or they're choosing to move here now. I've talked to several young families over the last couple of months, and they don't feel as valued as some of our families, and we need to do better and affect change. I'm very proud of the fact that in my first term on City Council, I brought forward the minimum wage policy that was implemented by our City Council. Working with Anthony Phan, we brought forward a wage theft policy, and working with regional partners and Councilmember Bob Nunez, we brought forward, suicide prevention policy.
This personal touch is very important. I work for Tri-City Voice, the local newspaper, and Milpitas is a shining star that's coming up very quickly. That we, as an organization, we are trying to cover, not only cover, focus, shine light on Milpitas. And it's an honor to be invited to be not moderating. They said moderation. No, I'll facilitate your discussions. Just a couple of very simple directives, if you'd like to keep in mind. Please tell the audience here, in the association, the people who have come here in the Saturday morning, why they would vote for you. Don't denigrate, don't bring down others. That becomes a very negative approach to things. You might have feelings about everybody, about issues, but let's try to keep it positive and try to keep it within that 1 minute thing, because we have got 11 people, 7 plus 4 mayoral candidates and 7 for the council. So if we can cover everybody adequately, that will be great. I know that Bob and Marcia, you're going to leave sort of early, 9:15 or so, 9, is that correct, Bob? Marcia, is that?
We're leaving at 9 for another.
9, oh my God. So all my questions will be directed towards you now. Let's get started. Let's get started. You don't have the exact questions. That wasn't the whole idea, because we don't want, that's the overall general directive. We don't want generalities of how great the things are. That's my platform. People can read about it, go to your website and all this. Try to be as specific as possible so that people can evaluate that whose solutions are the best for the city that we live in and work in. The first one, very important, the rents are increasing. Landlords wish development. These are given. I mean, you cannot go against the tide. The question becomes, what steps will you take to protect our lower income residents? They are being inconvenienced. They are just our friends, they are our family, they are our next door neighbors. And the supplemental question would be, how do you plan to attract affordable housing development in the city of Milpitas? I'll try with Mr. Montemayor.
We really need rent control. That's the third party. Because if we don't have it, there's no control really. One is in this side, one in this side. One is crying, one is, I don't know, is loving. In other words, we need a rent control. We may need some additional unit, but if you put additional unit to a property, then it attracts more cars to the household, and then the traffic problem. We always have problem in traffic, but for me, I can solve the problem in traffic, regardless of the numbers of houses in Milpitas. I will solve the problem. I have solution in mind, and I will relate to you in a month or so, if I'll be there. Even though I won't be there, I always attend the city council meeting anyway, and it for 5 administrators. In other words, I've been determined for leadership from abroad, as I mentioned a while ago, as a Cub Scout to now being as a geologist, engineer, and all those senior in the church. I take care of the church, and I take care of you. Thank you.
Bob Nunes.
So I think we currently have a tenant rights committee moving, and I'd like to have that one continue on because I think we need input from all of the community. First, and I think we need to do that, I think that is moving. Number one, I do think we need more affordable housing. Though that might in fact impact transportation and the roads, they need some place to live, and we've been doing that over by the transit area. We can do that with Measure A dollars that are there, and we have the wherewithal to do that. We have the property to do that. Number two, we have the ability, because of my placement on the BTA, to actually help improvement of the roads on Calaveras and on Montague. And we can actually look at many ways to actually improve by taking persons out of their cars, and BTA has the dollars to help us with that. I think we have to make sure that those persons that are renters have ways that the city can help with those dollars.
We definitely need affordable housing in Milpitas because I went to so many houses this day, and one couple, 2 baby, they share the one room. I really want to have them, and still in Milpitas, we really have them. So that I decided I'm going to have the fundraise with big companies such as Google, Facebook, and other major company, and then I'm going to support for the affordable housing. And I'm not going to use our tax money because I don't think we have enough budget for our city, because we need ourselves fund for the school. I really want to have one more high school in Milpitas, so that my duty is like have funding or fundraise from big company, or maybe I could ask like a famous NBA player to donate and support our family. Thank you.
Now, Rich Tran, please.
Thank you very much, sir. Hey, we're in Sunny Hills. I'm gonna keep it straight up. I've been supporting rent control, and I had no support on the council in my last term here. I'm still going to keep pushing rent control. It's not going to be as stringent as San Jose, but I do feel that families should not have their rent raised 3 times within 12 months. That's not fair. Folks really shouldn't have their rent raised 20%, 30%. It's ridiculous. And I'll continue to be consistent with that. Some candidates here will tell you that they're doing renters' rights, which is fantastic. I appreciate that. But at the end of the day, it's about the rent control. These investment properties aren't, people say, oh, that's my personal property, you can't do that. But hey, you know what? Actually, these are your business properties, and you have a business license, and you're under some business regulations, and so we're going to treat it like a business, and we're going to do what's right to protect the community of Sunny Hills. Thank you.
Thank you. I strongly believe in local control, and that is why when we had the crisis here in Sunny Hills, the county recommended that we look at our tenant protection policies in the Milpitas, which were so lacking. And so I did recommend at that time the Tenant Protection Task Force, which was approved by the council. And I'm happy to say that with an outside facilitator that has, that process has begun. And I really thank Allison McDonald for sitting on that and representing the city of Milpitas. Building strong policy means that we have to bring people together, and I'm definitely here to fight for our community. We also have to attract more affordable housing here in Milpitas. And I'm looking at, in this next election, Prop 1, which is the Veterans and Affordable Housing Act, and Prop 2, which would bring $10 million annually for homeless. So we definitely need to support those and bring more dollars into Milpitas.
Next I will go to, let's mix it up. Next I'll go to land.
In our area, the Bay Area has become very expensive for all of us. So obviously affordable housing is the issue in everybody's mind. I strongly support the current Santa Clara County affordable housing policy. We have Measure A, and I hope that with that measure, it's eat up a little bit pain for many of us working class family in this neighborhood. I also support the current policy of affordable housing in our city. We just have an affordable housing ordinance, so that is really good. I also support many other efforts, for example, like the 355 single court. That's 100% affordable housing going to our city. We need more of that to really have working class family. I also look at many other ways, many other alternative and partner to work together with us. This is a regional problem, not just one city that can solve this issue. Because we live here, we work here. So we care about the issues that affect our everyday life. So I will work very hard to find the alternative way for us to tackle the issue, because this is really the issue of our time. All of a sudden, everything just raised up, you know, who can pay more than 55% of rental money, you know, going to housing? That's ridiculous. What leave us? So we have to, you know, fight together for it.
Next, let's hear from Tim.
Thank you. Rent control is definitely a big thing. There's a ballot. There's a measure on the ballot in November that will actually make rent control a little bit more possible for Milpitas, so we can start to have these conversations. We just need to make sure that if it does become more possible for Milpitas, that we follow through. We really take a look at that. Definitely, you know, I have a lot of respect to the administration for what they did with Sunny Hills. I have a lot of respect for that. Making sure that that's a permanent solution, and you know, it's not just a temporary fix. You know, making sure that that's permanent, because, like I said, I have a lot of friends in Sunny Hills, and it was a scary time when that crisis happened. It was a scary time for them. And so I want to make sure that that's a bit more permanent, and also, you know, really look at rent control and make sure it's not just, you know, thrown under the table or anything like that, but make sure that it's well thought out, and, you know, we can really protect the residents who have been loyal to Milpitas for a long time. Thank you.
Next go to Robert.
Yeah, rent control is a one way to solve the problem, because you can't, like Mayor Tran said, you can't just have people just jerking up the fees, but you gotta be fair to both the owner and the renter of the property. The other thing about affordable housing is you can have a policy that states that the city designate that 10% of the new development be for affordable housing. So that would help, but we gotta limit the amount of housing we build totally because it's a drain on our water supply. We're told to conserve our water, but then if we keep developing more houses, then it's a greater demand for our water supply. So we need to do rent control, we need to have a policy maybe that the city put in some money for these low-income people and then get the money back when they sell the property. Thank you.
Okay, next in line is Karina Dominguez.
Thank you. Thank you so much for asking this question. I actually have been encountering many community members with, our rent is just too high. I definitely think there is, from experience as a legislative aide, I have seen this in other cities, there's two parts to this. You definitely need to implement rent control. The city has implemented a tenant protection task force, and I actually did a public records request because I wanted to know exactly what this meant. This means definitely thank you to the leadership for starting these conversations on how to protect tenants, but they excluded rent control from the conversation. So that is not okay with me. So as your council member, the first thing I'm going to do is make sure that rent control is part of that conversation because we need to cap our rents. It's ridiculous. If we would have capped our rents 3 years ago, the average rent around here would have been $1,600. The average rent for a one-bedroom apartment is $2,500. That's not acceptable. My second part to that I would do is, in talking to community members at the doors, I was brought to my attention that tenants pay for a parking spot anywhere between $25 and $75 extra a month. The first thing that I would do, and I'm already doing it, is making sure that we are not supporting that. We have to create policy to protect the most vulnerable. We need to pass rent control. We need to make more affordable housing, and we need to update our policies to protect our tenants. And definitely work with our landlords. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Carmen.
Thank you. I was one of the first, this is as Van said, this is a regional issue, and it's very true. I was one of the first ones to sign up on Measure A a couple of years ago. It was a housing trust that was created to create affordable housing. Right now, everyone has an opportunity in November to vote for Measure 10, which will, just like Tim said, they will free up local communities to be able to provide rent control. One of my goals is to form let me backtrack. The city right now is creating a lot of development on housing, condos and so on, but what they're doing also is creating HOAs. Now these HOAs are really raising up, jacking up people's fees, and there is no accountability. How do we know they're not overcharging the tenants? So what I would like to do as a city council person is to create a HOA / housing task force commission, so if you will, to get a database of all of our HOAs in the city, and then go from there to make sure they're being held accountable. Thank you.
Okay, Suraj.
I think starting from policy making, we make a lot of policies for affordable housing and low-income people. I think after policy making comes the execution and then auditing. I think there is Section 8 that's already available, and there is a lot of Section 8 discrimination. And I think I'll bring up a policy on the City Council where we will stop discriminating from the existing policy which allows low-income people to get housing. So I would put a policy against Section 8 discrimination and make sure you can use that and nobody is going to discriminate you, and that's where it starts. As far as affordable housing units build up in the city, yes, I'm in full support of that. Find builders who can do it and find land space to get it done. So those are the answers to the two questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're moving right along. The next question is in everybody's mind, and some of you have already touched on it. It's on parking and traffic in general. It's very important to our audience's mind of this association. It's in my mind, I think it's in everybody's mind. The state mandated lower parking requirements for the residential buildings. An overflow comes to the streets. That's the parking side of it. And on the traffic side of it, we see traffic congestion is increasing perceptibly by leaps and bounds. The schools are being crowded, so lots of parents are going to leave their sons and daughters at schools. So these are the issues that are connected at the hips. I would like to know if you have given any thoughts to how to address. It's maybe not a one-time, one session of the council or mayoral activity solution, but at least let us put that in the right path. Let me start with trend.
Traffic and parking, one of the top issues in Milpitas. Where can we start? I've voted 0 times yes on market rate housing. You bring in housing, you bring in traffic. That's an issue. I propose a traffic calming plan, which you can review at the City of Milpitas website to slow down the speeders in our community. Let's talk about Sunny Hills, Arizona. It's a raceway, and folks are disrespecting Arizona here in Sunny Hills, and we gotta put more paint on the ground, we gotta put more signs up. We need patrol. Our police staffing levels aren't where it used to be, and we need to continue to hire more police officers. I've worked with the police department with the collective bargaining, and we've made our pay competitive. We're hiring East Palo Alto. We got 3 officers we took from East Palo Alto. Each time to have an officer of the year at East Palo Alto, we take them to Milpitas. And so we need more patrol. We need to catch these speeders. When's the last time you see a patrolman on Arizona? I don't think so. And so we got to start here in Sunny Hills and work our way out with the traffic. We got to protect these streets. Thank you very much.
So I'll make sure I answer the question correctly. Because all that sounded very good, but I'm not sure I heard an answer in it. Police Officer Associations actually endorsed me for this race, and the reason is that their contract was done before we got here, before this council got there. The officers, we didn't actually add it. We offered additional positions there, but not officers, but we need to. And in this next budget cycle, we're going to put more officers in that position. Number 2, I think it's important to understand that we need to work with other agencies. We need to work with Caltrans, we need to work with the county, because the 2 major thoroughfares that impact us is Calaveras and Montague, and those aren't things that we police. And because I'm on BTA, we're able to do that now. We're actually using their systems to slow down the traffic that's going through there and to divert traffic. And more importantly, we're working with Kansas and Shoe to help with changing those roadways.
You need please?
Well, excuse me. Actually, I have a different idea. We have a huge a traffic problem with Milpitas right now. I mean, anybody ever been to San Jose Airport and the parking lot? They have a free shelter there. I really want to build a parking tower so that we can have also a shuttle. So whenever they want a shuttle to their a resident or home, I want to pick up service and drop service for our citizens. Thank you.
Someone to bring up?
As I've said, I got solutions, but 1 minute may not be enough. I'll try my best. Just anyway, the role of V equals IR, the voltage equals the amperage times the load. The load are the cracks and crevices, the potholes. In other words, if we sweep towards the bridge, it's gonna clog the bridge. But if we vacuum from the bridge, we clear the destination. There should be a clear destination, unless if you want coding, do not run your car if your code of your last digit of your car won't run on Monday, another code won't run on Tuesday to Sunday. But we don't like that. We want everybody running. We want to make sure that all your units, I work for Toyota. If your car is not doing good and it will make problem on the way, it will create problem, accident, all those, we should take care of ourselves. I need to tell everybody that we could solve problem. I could solve problem. We could do in freeways. I could open freeways. Make the 4 lanes into 5 sometimes in a time of the day, and more. Oh, thank you.
I think the property sellers, there are two problems. There are two problems that we have. Number one, we have two county roads, which is the Montague Expressway and the Calaveras. We have bottlenecks at the edge. We need to establish a task force to work with the county to see how we can solve the problems there. One way, I think, maybe out of the box solution might be put a fast track in there for people coming from other cities using this particular thing, and maybe make them go around, because our citizens living in Milpitas need to have the first right of way to use these two places, which is always clogged. Number two is the high school issue. People from all parts of Milpitas are coming to the high school at the same time, and that also causes traffic. Now we need to find a solution, maybe several, maybe other ways, maybe we can do a study on it, and find a solution on how people can get from Milpitas to Milpitas High School. And I think those are the two major problems right now that I see as an engineer. And it's open for discussion, but I think those are the two things that need to be addressed.
Okay, Marsh.
I agree with you. I live on Russell Lane, and it's public comfort.
It's not your time. Question. It's not your time.
Go ahead, Marsh.
Thank you. I heard two parts of the question. I heard a parking question and I heard traffic. Is that correct?
Exactly.
And we lost that piece. But, yeah. So one of the things the council has already taken into consideration is the parking issues that are affecting our neighborhoods. And we are implementing a pilot parking permit process in the Pines. And that's to help protect that neighborhood. But also with that, we are moving forward with a metered parking permit, our metered parking around the BART station for when the BART opens, so that people using BART are not impacting the community. So we are taking a proactive approach, which will also mean that we'll need to have an enforcement piece that goes with that. And also, the city of Milpitas for the first time is well represented at the regional level by having a council member who's advocating for Milpitas on the DTA board. So that in itself is that we have a voice out there and we are fighting for Milpitas.
Thank you. Comment?
Thank you.
Comment?
One of my goals is to form to solve we won't be able to solve the whole problem, to really look into it, is to form a transportation traffic commission, and they will be commissioned to look at all and to find alternative routes in the city, also to deal with potholes, traffic lights, street lights, anything to do dealing with roads and traffic issues. And also the biggest one is to advocate to have Samuel Air High School reopen, and the reason for that is because everyone is bringing their children to school and it's impacting our traffic, especially the people that live in that neighborhood. So I would like to work closely with the Milpitas Unified School District to support them to reopen Samuel Air High School. I think it's way overdue. We have 3,400 or 3,200 students around there at Milpitas High School, and it's just too overcrowded. So, and also work with the legislators to find regional solutions. Thank you.
Thank you. Then,
We talk about two issues, parking and traffic. With parking, I live across from Milpitas High School, so I have to adjust my schedule, my time around the morning, and also the time that the school is over. So I know the pain of the residents that live across, around the school neighborhood. So we used to have the resident permit parking, but we're not really enforcing it. So should we, that's a question for all of us, should we look at it? When we're talking about traffic, there are so many other alternatives. People can we park at the VMC at night? Can we park at the Great Mall parking lot at night? Can we look at the shared drive? Can we look at, many other issues? I agree with everyone here about regional solution. We have Caltrain, we have BART, we have BTA, we have so many biggies that they have to work with us. Because people that go across our town every morning for work, we have to do something. They have to do their fair share of crossing our town. So I don't know, do we have a toll booth? Let's think about some other alternative.
Thank you. Karina?
Thank you. So to answer this question, I'm hearing parking and traffic, and that's definitely something that I'm hearing at the doors. In terms of traffic, I actually did a ride-along with our police department 2 weeks ago, and it's evidence. I mean, I remember crossing over Able Street, and I'll admit it, I remember slowing down because I always knew there was going to be a police officer on a motorbike right across waiting for me if I was speeding. We no longer see that anymore. So the one thing I want to do is make sure that our police department has the funding available. Currently, I believe we have 2 motorcycle units. I want to make sure we bring back all 5. I want to make sure we bring, there's a shuttle service in San Diego called TED. It works just like Lyft, it's free, and the way it's a ride-sharing service, that's definitely something that we could look at, and that's something that I would champion as a council member. Definitely we need to implement technology into these development projects. Definitely the spaces, the parking spots have decreased. There's technology in New York that could turn 1 parking spot into 12 parking spots. It works like an IKEA, like an elevator. You go and press the button and wait for your car to come down. San Jose has actually opened 2 parking spots with that technology, and that's something that I would recommend, that I would require developments to use so it could alleviate the traffic in our neighborhoods.
Thank you. Kim?
Well, traffic has been an issue for a while, and it's going to always be an issue. So for one, we need to make sure that we're always fighting this issue. One of the things we can do about traffic is looking at Calaveras and looking at taking it away from the state and the county and making it controlled by Milpitas. That way we can do things like sync up the lights, take a hard look at where we need an extra turning lane, and where we need, maybe to adjust the timing of the stoplights. And that's one big thing, because that's where most of the traffic is right now. Montague, when the construction finishes, it's gonna look pretty good. And I want to be able to do something like that, not all the same details, but do something like that over on Calaveras. Parking, stricter enforcement of the permit policies, that's definitely a must. Maybe looking into one of the metering people who drives around, looking more into that and just providing more support, but also making sure the residents are taken care of in the permit areas to make sure that they can still have friends over and they can park. Thank you.
Thank you. Last but definitely not least, Robert May.
Yeah, traffic is a big problem. There's a few ways you can adjust the traffic flow. One is the lights right now in Milpitas are not adjusted for the amount of cars parked getting to the light. It seems like they're just on fixed time schedules. So it'll just take, a minute for the traffic to go one way, then a minute for the other. The other solution to the problem is things called roundabouts. Roundabouts means that there's no stop signs there. You just rotate around a circle to get the traffic moving. This would stop you from parking your car, emitting carbon dioxide and things like that. As far as the parking is concerned, that's a problem that the city has overdeveloped one area, and they do not provide parking. We need better rules to provide parking for so they don't interfere with other neighborhoods and start parking their cars all over the place.
I'd like to get to a very important thing before we lose a couple of our participants pretty quickly. This is an important one because it's about budget. It's in everybody's mind. One of the people in the audience wrote an excellent note. The $2 million budget surplus is shrinking. The council has allocated more dollar towards upper level managers than workers. How are you going to address this shrinking surplus? Now, I've got a couple of additional questions that in general, for budget priorities, how do you plan to address economic downturn and economic upturn? We cannot predict the future. We have seen all kinds of good news, and it might be the bad news also in the blinking of an eye. It's a big question. 1 minute, Marsha, before you leave.
I agree that budget is top priority in our community. When I first got on the council, for the first 3 years, I was extremely frustrated with the way our budget was done in Milpitas. And every time I questioned it, I was told this is just the way it's done. It came to us in May, we had to approve it, and when I turned to my fellow council members that had been there a while, they just said, no, this is the way we do it. So this last year, I was really proud of the fact that I could bring forward what was called a community-oriented budget process, where we had regular budget sessions as a council and built priorities, and we held community meetings when we talked to our residents about what their priorities were, so that when we built the budget, we built those priorities into the budget. And surprisingly to us, by doing that, we heard different voices and that were different than what we were thinking, so we were able to implement that. And definitely we're going to be doing that process again this year and listening to the residents.
Thank you. Robert, Marie.
Wait, hold on a second. I thought Bob Nunez had to also leave at 9.
Yeah. No, he's leaving at 9:15. Bob. You are self-selecting, Bob. Thank you.
Thank you. So first, I won't go over then the community-based budget that we have done because Marcia's already done that.
Just to interject you just 1 second, if you agree with something that's already
I'm not
said,
gonna say it.
yes, I agree.
Right.
I'll elaborate on that.
So I get to start over, Rob?
Yeah.
Okay.
I stopped the timer.
Thank you.
As soon as you start talking, you know it's good.
Okay. So I think the important part is, one, we did add additional staff at the upper level. We did that, and I think that was, one reason we did that is because we were really short at that upper level. But then we stopped, and what we're gonna do now going into the next year is look at adding staff, I believe, speaking as one council person, to public safety, because that's important for us. But what we're gonna do going into the next year is really asking the community once again, exactly where do we add that staff? But more importantly, going back to your point, which is we need to have a reserve large enough when that downturn comes that we have the dollars there to survive through those points when if we don't have to cut staff. That's the one thing I do not want to have to do is have any type of reduction.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Montemayor.
Yeah, if we need somebody to take the position, even though double function, overlapping of function, and we need to give him some good amount of salary, then we should do it. I was with the city council budget all the time, the seminars, as you know, the city council and the staff and the public for few meetings, seminars. In other words, I was concerned with the budgeting, but the most important thing is we prioritize. I was there prioritizing, and it came down to 4 important ones, the vital ones, including traffic, including everything. The economy, we will survive economy. Milpitas is one of the best places to live. I will make Milpitas happy. We will make the small businesses happy. We will attract people to live. We will not let people go, the good working people, the good citizens of Milpitas, we will not go. In other words, there will be no downturn of economy in Milpitas. I will be there to help everybody. Thank you.
Rich Trent.
Thank you very much. I just want to follow up on Councilman Nunez, who just left. Yes, we do need to ensure that we have reserves for the downturn. I lived through the Great Recession as a younger person 10 years ago, and I remember getting out of school and just not having any job opportunities. And so I do understand when times are bad. But also we need to look across the board at all our city employees, and a majority of our general fund goes to salaries. And we need to make sure that our salaries aren't number one, not even number two sometimes, but we do want to be competitive. And I'm always watching the salaries. I'm always talking to our city manager, what's going on with the salaries? Can I get a study? Can I get a chart? Let me see where our salaries are. CalPERS is the biggest threat to Milpitas. Your tax dollars, our pension system for Milpitas and for the whole state really. And if we're going to be a leader in this state of California, we need to look at the CalPERS system, because that's what's dragging us down. We have millions and millions and millions of dollars. I can't even quote the number, but we need to look at our pension system if we're going to look forward 50 to 100 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lee.
To build the apartment or condominium is not my solution for have the budget for our city of Milpitas. Past 2 years, we lost so many business and also major companies such as Cisco and other companies. I want them back to the city of Milpitas, and also I want to have more job for our city of Milpitas as well. And I have a chance to talk to some company who work there, and they actually willing to come to Milpitas for the business, but nobody really try to contact them. I wish our council member and maybe Mr. Tran try to contact so that we could have more budget for our city of Milpitas. Thank you.
Yeah, Thank you. Yeah, I agree with most of what Mayor Tran has said, but we have to look at having a diverse analysis of companies. In other words, you don't want companies all in one area in coming to Milpitas. You want a diversity. So if one part of the industry fails, you have, or goes down, you have other industries, and the way we can do this is to have startup seed money for these companies to have diversity, so we have that. And yeah, we have to have reserves in case of an emergency situation. But our problems are like CalPERS and all that, issues like that, is because you're increasing the city's employment, and increasing the city's employment is due to the fact that you're increasing the number of residents in Milpitas. Maybe we don't need to grow as much as we used to and still have a quality community at home. That'll help reduce the traffic and the water situation and all other similar situations that cause higher employment. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Well, I agree with pretty much what everyone has been saying up here, but one thing we need to look at is in November, there's a measure on there to raise hotel taxes, and that could be very beneficial, to help compensate for more public safety officers and such like that. But, we did add some management at the top, but, we need to make sure that we're thinking 5 years ahead. And so, when we look at the budget next, we need to make sure, not just 5 years, but for the future. So when the next recession hits, or, hard times hit, which, it's a matter of when, not if, that we're ready. And it's just about being, forward thinking and very progressive and making sure that, we can really, like Nunez said, we don't have to lay anyone off. That's a big thing. We want to make sure that people, the valued workers that we have in Milpitas, stay here, and they can continue to do the good work for us. That's a loaded question for 1 minute. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good.
Thank you for your question. I actually have been doing a couple public records requests on this. We definitely need to make sure that we do not miss opportunities as a city. We have missed an opportunity regardless of how we feel, for example, about cannabis. Cannabis did not pass to be considered for a business tax and to be placed on the ballot. However, the operating of these businesses has passed on Tuesday. So what does that mean? That means that our community has the potential of seeing cannabis collectives in our neighborhood without getting business tax because a current council member voted no. So we need to continue, again, as a public policy maker, look 4 years from now. What is it? We can't continue. We have to look at revenue streams that are going to include the public, not only at public meetings, but help them participate online. We need to make sure that we look at the expenses of these third-party contractors. One of the things, I reported gang graffiti on 237. I found out it costed $15,000 to remove it. So definitely we need to make sure that we look at our in-house, see what we're spending on, and restructure things. We can't be afraid to change things, and we can't be afraid of doing things different to save us money and to move us forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Diana.
I had the opportunity to participate in the citizen process for the budget last year, and I encourage every resident to participate in it for this year budget. When we look at the budget priority, public safety is so critical to us, so important. I would look at public safety issue first, and also basic city services for our senior, disabled citizens, and also the children. So when we want to spend anything in our city, create any new program, anything at all, we need to look at the cost. So we need to bring more businesses, more revenue into our city to really help us to finance all the basic services that we need for our residents.
Thank you. Carmen?
Thank you. It's when you're going over a budget, it's just like your household budget. You have to prioritize what are the things that are essential, what are the things, the wants, and what are the needs. First of all, I would like to, if I get on the city council, is to find out where there's waste, because more than likely sometimes you find a lot of waste, and I think that's first thing we need to do is find where there's redundancy and waste. And the second thing is also our public safety is very essential. Most of our, like Mayor Tran had mentioned, most of our budget does go for public safety, and maybe we could do better negotiations with our unions. That's some of my solutions for that. And of course, I agree with Mr. Marini. We need to have a reserve in place for a rainy day. It's just and being frugal and just being conscientious of not having too much top management, but making sure that everything is well balanced in our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Suraj.
I think public input towards budget discussion is very important, and I agree that everybody needs to participate in those budget discussions. Now, I would like everyone to ask yourself a question. It's like we are all growing, the city is growing, more population. Now, how come the budget or the income revenue for the city is not there? The main point, I think, is the technology is growing. Are we taxing every business that's operating based on technology advancement? I think that's where the city is lacking behind. Say, for example, San Francisco implemented Uber licensing thing. We have to be and catch up with technology. If we don't catch up with technology, we're going to be in deficit. So it's as simple as that. We have to start reverse thinking about what's happening here, really. And here, technology is advancing. And when technology is advancing, we need to find ways to tax people that run businesses of our city, so that we also grow, the city also grows. I think that's the major problem we are having with the deficit. Thank you.
Now let's go to simple things, but very important and hard to solve, and important to us as the residents of the city. The odor problem. You know, people say that all the time, and it defies solution many times. Have you got any brilliant ideas about how to address the odor problem that has come up? I know for sure myself, come up in the council meetings, it must be coming up in other places as well. So who is going to volunteer? I mean, I don't have to if you, okay, Mr. Lee.
Thank you. We really need to solve the odor problem because I have a little princess at home, 3-year-old, my daughter. We always go to Safeway, like grocery shopping there. And my little princess say, Daddy, what smell is this? So stinky. Even 3-year-old know about the odor, which we have a major problem in Milpitas. So that actually I requested Mrs. Kong, who worked for the South Bay Citizenship Association, and I got a picture and I got allowed like a document that she had provided for me. And then I transfer all the information to professors, scientists, and they gave me the solution. And now I have here, I always wear this because this USB port, flash port, which valued at least $88 million. And we don't need to spend $88 million upfront first. and I wish I could share this solution with our citizens. Thank you.
Anybody else would like to? Mr. Mayoral, I'll come to you soon. Mr. Montemayor.
Yeah, I've been an uncle going to caves. I'm holding the testing materials for smell of the past. In other words, I am a walker. I could run every day to the Nuba Island to check the smell. But we want to make sure first that we have delimited that's the only source of bad odor is from the Nuba Island. I voted 50.001 yes last time. But in other words, actually we made a solution already that we had now the sanitation. But still, we're smelling something that we don't like, especially when we're eating, as mentioned. I could solve the problem. I will go there every day if needed. I could climb. I'm a mountain climber. I could use aircraft. I was a co-pilot navigator. I could climb. We could use the bay also if we're not suppress the smell. In other words, if we have to extrapolate like small, in the mountains you can just leave your waste there and cover it. As simple as that, but that's the big one. High and wide, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Tran,
If odor is your issue, your past elected officials have done nothing for you because the odor is still there. The odor is maybe getting worse, and you'll probably smell it later today or tomorrow. They've taken so many angles at the landfill facilities where the odor may originate. Folks say composting. To me, it doesn't matter. It's coming from somewhere. And so the new garbage bins, that was an aim at stopping the landfill odor. Well, that's a failure because now we're sending our waste down towards Morgan Hill and we're not sending it across the street. And I'll tell you what, your costs are going up for your waste bins, 15-year contract every year. And they had me fooled too. And you can't tell me it's gonna cost less money for fuel driving down to Morgan Hill than across the street. My plan is to put up an air monitoring system on the perimeter of our city. We're gonna collect the pollutants, the particles, and we're gonna use that to punish the landfill odor origination. And that's when we're gonna do it. All this litigation, oh, we're doing this, we're doing that, it's not happening. I'm in there, I see it.
So basically there are 7 issues that causes this sort of problem. And I think one of the reasons that it's never moved forward is because of heavy lobbying by the 7 facilities to the elected officials. I think that's where it starts. Now, have you ever been to the Fremont water waste system outside? There is one in Fremont, which is closed. If you stand outside, right outside, like here, and the waste management system is inside, you won't even smell anything. Have you ever been to the Santa Clara wastewater treatment center? It's open. So that is one of the causes that causes the smell. Now, why can't we have a wastewater management guy or the company close it? That can solve a lot of problems. I think those kind of hard decisions need to be made, and lobbying cannot be happening in the expense of my kids' future or our future, because we all live in the city, we smell the same air, we all get whatever we get because of this odor. So I think let's move on and let's make decisions that are going to impact our future.
thank you.
As a past legislative aide for both the Senate and the Assembly who worked on this particular issue, I agree that there is different things that is bringing the order, and I appreciate and support the air monitoring system because I do believe we need to figure out where it's coming from. The water treatment plan, we've spent so much money on litigation. Personally, I would have packed a bus and made sure that every council member and our mayor was present for the assembly bill that unfortunately did not make it out into vote. That's what I would have done because that would have brought state resources to our community. So we need to continue those conversations with our senator and our assembly member and hold the council members accountable. That includes myself if I get elected. It's like a job. If you don't do a good job, you know, someone else that wants to come and replace you probably are going to get replaced. It's the exact same thing. We're all here asking for your vote. Odor is a big issue. The water treatment plant, we have spent so much money in litigation. We could have already worked with San Jose and probably paid to enclose that water treatment plant. So definitely I think that's something that we need to move, but together we will make sure that we move our city forward.
No, the council members, anybody have got any different ideas? Okay.
So a bad smell is one thing, but toxic air is completely another. You know, a bad smell is very annoying and it sucks. You go outside and barbecue and it smells horrible. But the thing is if it's toxic, that's completely different. And one thing is we need to, you know, I know this has already been said, but with the monitoring systems, but you know what? If we put up those monitoring systems and we find out the air is toxic, we need to go after them. We need to hold them accountable for that, and we need to make them come up with a solution by any means possible. Because you know what? It's outside Milpitas borders. And that means, you know, all we can do is tell them, you know, what we smell, you know, what's going on. And when I heard about the traffic monitoring system, I reached out to Rich. Air quality monitoring system. I reached out to Rich and I said, what do you need to make this happen? This has to happen. And he said, the council probably won't support me on this. We need to make sure that, you know, it gets supported. We need to make sure Rich is reelected and council members who support this will be elected. That's how we solve it. Thank you.
I saw that Robert, you were grabbing for the mic. So you have a couple of minutes?
Actually, he was trying to turn it off, but Van Lan had her hand up.
Okay, Van.
Thank you. I know that order is a long-standing issue in our city, and we have to look at the source. There's so many sources that create that order. We look at the newbie landfill, there's the salt mart around it, there's Zero Waste Energy Development Corporation, the San Jose Sewer Treatment Plant. Go to those guys and tell them, if you don't do it, we're gonna find you. We're gonna find you big. We already have a couple lawsuits with you, but if that is not enough, we have to increase the level of penalty or whatever policy that we need to put in the book. Because they created it, they have to have the solution with all of us. Unfortunately, the landfill really belongs to the city of San Jose. So they have a committee, a task force that working together between us, Milpitas, and San Jose to solve this issue. Because this is so long standing, and we all fed up with it. We all need clean air. We need to have a good health because we don't know what's going to happen when we're breathing all the air, toxic waste that coming from the landfill. Thank you.
Okay, now Robert.
Yeah, I think I agree with most of what the people here are saying, but I think you're missing one important question, is I don't think we have an open and transparent city government here. Our water supply, we're losing more water today than we lost before. The latest Barclay report showed that we're losing 18% of our water supply, and I don't see what the city's doing about it. I attended a finance committee meeting, and we wanted to know how the city's going to charge for services to the water fund. These are not permanent employees, these are like finance department, city manager and all. They charge money to the water fund. So we asked that we have time cards to prove that you actually are serving this need to the city. And they flat out refuse to do it. So there's a very limited, open and transparent city government here. And water supply is the most important thing that we need in Milpitas. Let's do something about it. Thank you.
You get the preference to raise your hand. The question that came from the audience, that one thing the Milpitas doesn't do well is street sweeping. On the day of sweeping, we see cars parked there. It's a nuisance. It doesn't help our city. And it's not a very pleasant thing to go after people who are parking there. So there might not be any easy solutions. Have you ever thought about it? Do you want to do anything about it? It's a real problem of our real residents.
Yeah, absolutely. Street sweeping is an issue in our community. We need to make sure that we're looking pristine and precious here in Milpitas. Not just with the street sweeping, but the weed abatement, which is one of my top priorities. We need to do more outreach, and if certain impacted streets and neighborhoods are having vehicles on the street, right on the curb, we really need to do more outreach. We need to get volunteers out there to go door to door and just talk to folks. because this is our neighborhood. And if we need to send a mailer out, then we'll send a mailer out to each home. It's really just a thing about effort and connecting with each resident, because absolutely we need to sweep our streets and keep Milpitas beautiful, as we all know and love. Thank you.
I also agree, the streets, there is no consistency on the street sweeping. A lot of times, a lot of cars, because a lot of families have more than multiple families that have multiple cars. And so what they wind up doing is, I've been walking, I've been seeing the streets that have probably never been swept. I would like to see implement something like the City of Union City, where they have signage or postage that these are the city sweeping days. If your car is not moved, then you will be fined. I hate to fine people, but that's probably the only way that people will move their cars to allow that street sweeping. And the other impact that has is that when the streets are not swept, when it rains, all that clutter, all that trash goes into the bay. So that's another reason why I would like to see a street sweeping policy that the city will have in place. Thank you.
Anybody else to address this? Okay, go ahead.
Yes, and actually here in this community, in walking the Hetchy Trail is definitely one that I found that the weed abatement program had not gotten to, and a community member brought it up to my attention, and we made sure that that got some service, and so now it's nice and clean, and this goes to the same service as cleaning our streets. I think it's really important. Again, I think what we need to do is really look at how we're spending our money. Some of these programs got third party out. I think it's time to bring internal staff back. I think they need to be back with the city. We need to bring back 5 positions that are going to be overseeing our weed abatement program and our street sweeping and enforcing the street sweeping, making sure, again, if the cars aren't being moved, are we forming a partnership? Are we giving them notice? And if not, if we have to explore making sure that there's enforcement with fines, then that's something that we need to move into. But we need to have the staff first, and we can no longer have these third-party contracts that are costing us way more money.
Anybody else would like to address this? Okay, Suraj.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
You can agree, just say agree.
so. One of the ways that we can handle the situation is introducing a smart city program. When I travel to Europe, there is a city that they construct around a smart city program, which is more connected with the city. So, say for example, there is a street sweeping happening next week or in 2 days. It brings up your phone and lets you know that, hey, there is a sweeper that's supposed to be touring your or the street, cleaning your street the next day. If you have weed abatement issues, you just take a photo with the location and upload it into your phone, which directly goes to the responsible person in the city, and as it gets acknowledged and the problem is getting taken care of. Once the problem is taken care of, you get a response in your message saying that, hey, it's done, what next? So I think we have to start moving into a smarter city situation, especially being in Silicon Valley.
Okay, yes.
I basically agree with everyone, but I would like to add 2 more items into it. There's certain area in our neighborhood that need more cleaning and more outreach. So we have to make every effort to do outreach to the community. Some of our residents will not have telephone, will not have computer, will not have any app, fancy thing, even though we know that we have to move forward to innovative. We have to move forward. But for now, we have to pay more attention to certain neighborhood. We have to pay more attention to community outreach and do every which way you can. I believe everything that we do and not good at it, we have to have the voice of the resident into it.
Thank you, okay.
So, have you ever noticed that when a street sweeper goes by, somehow it looks worse than it did before? I've noticed that. One thing that causes that is that, a lot of litter and a lot of bigger pieces of garbage get caught up in the actual brushes that brush it, and it gets flown right back into the street. We have a high school and middle schools that have that require community service hours of students. I think one cool thing to do would be to create a program, a community service program, where they can get their community service hours by cleaning up, garbage in streets and parks and everything. And I know we have community service programs that, they're putting a big emphasis on this because we need to make sure that when we pay money for these street sweepers to go through, the job gets done. We need to make sure that happens. And, it's not everywhere, but it's a good amount. It's enough to cause concern. And so we need to utilize resources that are already available to the community and also make sure that we're getting our money's worth when we do spend these crazy dollars cleaning our streets. Thank you.
The sweepers want to finish the whole Milpitas in a certain time, which is, I believe, they're rushing sometimes. Sorry, I'm not putting negative on you guys. When we clean the house for a general cleaning, even though one section of the house, as long as you clear it, you move the chair, sweep it good. You knock on the doors, you make a siren, it's cleaning day, guys. Wake up. Let's clean this road, streets. Thank you.
Well, the thing that I noticed is that the city's got like 50,000 trees in Milpitas. 50,000, that's what they have. And I noticed that the leaves are filling up all the sidewalks, especially on Arizona Avenue. So it's not only the drivers for the street cleaners. We need to do something about picking up the leaves on the ground, because on a rainy day, that's a dangerous situation and you could be falling on your, what. So we need some sort of a plan, maybe to pay employees, pay volunteers and pay them $15 an hour, so similar to what we do for our school crossing guards. Pay them something to clean up the area, and then you don't have to have them permanent employees for a whole hour, for a permanent position on the city. Thank you.
Very good thing that we have had in our community, the Silicon Valley Clean Energy, the SVCE. That's excellent. It's great news, less carbon footprint, less electricity bill for all of us, and PG&E's 20% profit stays in Milpitas, doesn't flow out of it. I assume that the present council mayor, you had roles to play in it. Very quickly brag a little bit about it.
Absolutely, Silicon Valley Clean Energy, I think it's a great option for Milpitians, and the more options you have, the better it is. And I voted in favor of it. I do believe in its environmental impact, absolutely. But I'll be honest with you, a couple things, I still voted yes, but a couple things I was like, oh boy, such as, you're automatically placed into it. And you had to opt out of Silicon Valley Clean Energy, and you had to make the effort to do that. I think residents should have been able to opt into it. So I know folks here in Stony Hills are upset about that. And so, another thing is you talk about cost saving, and I think it will be competitive. I think it will be a cheaper option for you. But hey, you're used to your PG&E, you're used to the price going up. And with this new plan, Silicon Valley Clean Energy, I don't know what the payment contract structure is. Did you read the agreement? Is it going to remain competitive? Can they raise the price on you? Let's say they raise the price more than PG&E, and then you're going to have to pay $30 to opt out of it and go back to PG&E. And so I'll be watching that closely.
What else you think might be there for such a good news, like clean energy, less electricity spending? You have talked about street sweeping, you have talked about traffic monitoring, you have talked about many things. Is there any other big initiative, any other development you can think of that you can help with the next mayor, the next council?
One of the things that I was very happy to finally see was Mabel Matos. Shout out school board president right there. But I was so excited to finally see that. I mean, it took forever. I don't think at the time that all the negotiating was happening, I don't think that city council and school board had the best relationship, and I still think it needs a lot of improvement. If I understand the question correctly, if we have a better relationship with the school board, more amazing things like that can happen. And I don't know if you guys have seen Mabel Matos, but it's a beautiful looking school. That is a beautiful school. And one thing that we really need to do on that topic is make sure that Measure A passes, so that way it can be completely finished. But just like the clean energy, we finally got a new school in there, and I think that's awesome. I'm looking forward to many more new schools, and maybe even a renovation of Samuel Air and get that reopened. Definitely looking at those options. Thank you.
Great.
One of the things that I have been seeing in our community and getting feedback is the lack of activities that we have in Milpitas, lack of things to do in Milpitas. And a lot of us on the weekends head out to other cities. Again, going back on revenue and how do we keep our own families here? And how do we provide free activities? Because so many of us are working 2 to 3 jobs just to stay afloat that unfortunately our family time gets taken by other obligations. So one of the things that I want to do for our city and champion as a council member is placemaking strategies. How do we find space, like on Main Street, we have 2 parks that we don't use, to do things like movies in the park, or jazz in the park, or really bring these giant games and just hype it up where families could know each other and our community gets more involved. Definitely making sure that we are reactivating our parks is another. Yoga in the park. Why don't we collaborate with our nonprofits who are already doing it and not charge them to use the park? Things like that is something that I would love to champion, and hopefully I can gain your support in order to do that.
Thank you. Brandon.
I would work with Santa Clara County to promote quality healthcare and all the access to healthcare for the residents of Milpitas. We should advocate for extended hour for the BMC that we have right now. We should always think of the senior, the disabled, and the children in this neighborhood, in this city. Healthcare is something critical to our life. Our population get older, but we also have children and younger people. So I definitely would advocate for more quality healthcare and access to healthcare for all our residents.
I'm passionate about how quickly Milpitas should be shining. I'll give you an example. I attended the first meeting of the Economic Development Committee, whatever you call it, in Milpitas. And there I saw, I shouldn't say to my horror, but definitely to my disliking, the benchmarks were San Jose and Fremont. We would like to be like these 2 benchmark cities in our neighborhood. That how soon do you think, as leaders of our community, that someday, maybe in the not too distant future, San Jose will have their economic development meeting and say, our benchmark is Milpitas. We would like to be like them. It's definitely achievable. What do you think needs to happen? Are we going to wrap up in next 5 minutes? Any great ideas? If not, then it's fine as well.
Amazing ideas, absolutely. So, hey, can we talk about the benchmarks and the baselines and the competitiveness of Milpitas? And Milpitas can be a Cupertino or a Mountain View, and there's some truth to that. It's really where we are today in Milpitas is a direct result of the people that you elect. Where's the effort? Where's the effort for a Main Street? Where do we go, Sunny Hills? Where do we go, Milpitas family? Where do we go for community space? And that's something I've been pushing very strongly here in Milpitas. And the second part, kind of to touch on the question, is we got to stop building all these homes. Our jobs to resident ratio used to be touted at 1.9 to 1, and now I think it's 0.6 jobs per resident. And that's unacceptable. You build all these homes. Hey, every great city, you talk about those great cities, Cupertino, Mountain View, and whatnot. Well, you look at their jobs to resident ratio, and that's the benchmark you're looking for. I voted yes on 0 new market rate housing, except for affordable housing and seniors. Thank you.
So I'd like to see, what I'd like to see is our Main Street. Main Street, that needs to, I agree with the mayor. His goal is to improve that, to start developing that site and making it a walking friendly, where people can go and see it. It's a gem. And unfortunately, the redevelopment agency at the time should have, in my opinion, redeveloped that site, because the redevelopment agencies, it was a Congress mandate that any blighted area, you can get redevelopment agency funds to develop that area, and it wasn't developed. So I'm hoping that with the new council, we can, or if the same ones are still there, that they will move forward to redevelop Main Street. And the other thing is, as I agree with Mr. Marini, is we need to diversify our technology jobs, because that will also bring in a stream of revenue for our city, so we can do those great projects in our city. We need to make sure that we have sustainable parks for the families.
Mr. Montenegro, then I'll go to our side.
Yeah, Main Street, St. John's, the library is a backyard of mine. This is a backyard of mine to the Methodist Church. I'm a member. Since 1980, I've been watching the 5 administrations, and they're doing good. But I will improve. We will anticipate floods from the Anderson probable. We will anticipate fires. I'll help. We will have champions in Milpitas, in singing, in sports, and we will have parade. We will clean up all the streets. We will be happy and safe in this place. We will not condone the people saying, I will leave Milpitas now because of these problems. I'm not trying to put down the present administration. He calls me uncle. He employed me as the volunteer now for the parks.
Went to school with Ben.
Thank you, thank you.
Oh, I also studied the Korean from. Thank you.
I've seen, Karina's hand go up. We have to wrap up in the next few minutes.
All right, so one of the reasons that I ran for office is because, in this lovely city, is because I know that Milpitas could be that example, what you said. And one of the statements that I made when I ran for, when I did my grand opening, I guess, for my campaign was, I said, I want Milpitas to be, wherever Milpitas goes, the state follows. That's what I want to do. I want to do local policies that they look, oh wow, they have a great leadership. Let's do what they do. Because that's what local issue starts at the local level. Change begins at the local level. And we could cause a causation not only regionally, but state. And I know we could do this because we have everything in place to make this happen. However, we need leadership. And that is why I hope I could gain your vote.
Thank you. Tim, 30 seconds.
30 seconds, you got it.
30 seconds.
So one thing that comes to mind is, look at all the developers that developed on Montague. All those houses that, they paid to put up these houses so that they can make money. Why didn't we direct some of them to Main Street? Build some retail space, some houses on the 2nd or 3rd level above the retail? Why didn't we direct them there? That's where it really needed it. Montague didn't need all that housing. Montague didn't need all that development. Main Street does. Look at it. We have buildings that are abandoned and closed down because, people left, and they're still abandoned and closed down. Why didn't we send them there? We need to do that.
Okay, then, and last name.
We have a great opportunity to change our city. Right now, the General Plan Advisory Committee working very hard with all the consultants that we bring all over town to work on our issue, to redesign our neighborhood. So please participate in that. They have meeting, the next meeting October 17 at 6 o'clock. You want to be there. You want to have your voice in it. They have the Midtown neighborhood redesigning. You want to have your voice in there as well. So right now we have Great Mall, we have new park coming into town. We're going to have Whole Food, we're going to have Santana Road development. We want to be part of it. We want to have our voice, and please be active. Get your voice in there, get your idea in there, because we all have to take part into that.
Last speaker, Mr. Lee.
Whenever I go to Cupertino, I'm really jealous because I wish Milpitas have such as like a Cupertino or Mountain View or even Menlo Park. I could have a chance to go to headquarters of Facebook a couple of days ago, and they have a great campus there. What about our city in Milpitas? We don't have a major company actually. Actually, we used to have a Cisco. We could say that's a major company, but not anymore. When people ask me, what major company do we have in Milpitas? We don't have yet. But I really want to bring the big major company in our city, and I want to get more job for our citizen Milpitas. Thank you.
You have made the life of our audience really tough. Very good answers to tough questions. And we have achieved a lot as a city. We are going to achieve a lot going forward. You have all very good ideas. I'm pretty sure our audience, they have taken physical notes or notes in their minds at least. And they have a tough time evaluating who to vote for. I wish I could vote for all of you. But that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. They have to make a priority as to who best represents them. And I would say good luck, and between now and the election day, there are a few weeks left. And please, please, please stay away from the negatives. That doesn't take us anywhere. We need positives. And as a newspaper man, I would say, use that whenever you achieve something good, let it be known so that it can be flashed. It can be, some light can be shown on it. Our newspaper is read all the way from Milpitas to Hayward, in our whole area. I want people to be jealous of Milpitas. I'm honest. I'm not just, putting you on a pedestal. I want you to make sure that Milpitas goes high up there. Thank you very much for your time.
Closing statements.
Thanks.
Sir, are we going to do a closing statement?
If you want closing statement, I can be here for the rest of the morning. I had my breakfast. I had an egg with a croissant. So, closing statement. Yeah. Let's start with the Prince Trans.
Thank you very much. Hey, Sunny Hills, great to be here this morning. And it all starts in your neighborhood. It starts in every neighborhood in Milpitas, all 45. It starts with the traffic calming plan on Arizona. It starts with developing the corner of Milpitas and Dixon, that empty lot that's been there decrepit for so many years. I met with the owners and they want to develop, and it takes great leadership to get that done, and I want to do commercial over there. Even that shopping center right there next to us, or excuse me, the church at the corner of Arizona, we got to clean up Sunny Hills. And the last thing is, you look at Weller, they're going to be building over there because they need more classrooms for the Weller Elementary, and that's a park of the city right there, and I want to support the joint use there. And so I'm going to focus on every issue in your neighborhood like a laser, in every neighborhood in Milpitas. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'll follow through on mayor's ideas, but I will remind everyone that solving the traffic, sometimes we have to wait for the PRT, the personal transit. It's a project of Mr. Mims. And about the rate of the water, we have to follow the steps of Robert Marini. He's concentrating on the rate. And everybody, thank you.
First of all, I really appreciate the invite me at this forum. I really appreciate Mrs. McDonald and also Milpitas Pete. Thank you so much. And I really hope that we really need to solve the order for our next generation. And also we have to think and care about Sunny Hills neighbor communities. Well, I have a friend that who work at Sacramento Kings, and we are the same owner of this community. And please give me an opportunity to work as a mayor so I can solve all the problems that what you desire. Thank you.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be in front of you as a candidate. I will serve Milpitas if the city of Milpitas is get elected with neutrality and with great negotiation skills where things can get done. And I'm a doer. And if you want, you can meet me after this. I can give you my book about how I came here with a $100 bill and how I made it up in 30 months. So I get things done. Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope that I will have your valuable support. Together for Milpitas, this is my thing, because I strongly believe that together we can work to find a solution for our own problem. We have the opportunity to do this, to make change in our city in more than 30 days. It's less than 30 days, I must say. So it's very important for all our residents to register to vote, to go to vote, and vote the right choice. Thank you.
Milpitas, I need your vote. You can vote for 2 people. We are ready to move our city forward, and that is my theme. We are ready to get to work. In fact, I've already been at work. I have solved over 50 community concerns. I'm not waiting for task force. I'm not waiting for the weeks to end this election. I'm already working with you, and regardless of how this ends, I will be there right next to you, with you, making sure that we move our city forward, because we have a gem that we want to make sure we are giving it to the region, and that we're making sure the state follows us. Thank you for your support, and remember to vote for Karina Dominguez.
Robert?
Hi, the amount of water lost right now, a few years ago, was only 3 billion, was only $1.5 billion. Today, we're losing $3 million in our water. And it's because our capital improvement program that the city put in effect 2 years ago is really not working. It's for the benefit of the city. Vote for me, and we'll have some change in our water rates, and we'll find effective ways that not only reduce the cost, there'll be more effective ways to reduce the amount of water losses in our city. So I think you should vote for me. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, I grew up in this neighborhood, and just Google Carmen Montano, and you will see the things that I've done. Actions speak louder than words. I have a great passion for my community. I've been here since 1964, and those people that know me know that my heart is in the right place. Some people run to see what they can get out of city government, but most people run to see what they can do for the city, for the community. Vote for Carmen Montano. Google Carmen Montano, you'll see my qualifications and the things that I've done, because that's how you measure someone's dedication to the city. Thank you.
Well, you know, you guys, I have deep roots in this city. In fact, I recognize people here. Libby, I see you back there. I see you. But you know what? It's time for a change in City Hall. We need to make sure that the council is not stale, and they're active and they're motivated. And you know what? I'm here to put families and residents first above everything else, and make sure that the people loyal to Milpitas is loyal to them right back. Thank you.